Welcome everyone. I still look the same as I looked when the lights were on, so.
Could you use the mic?
Yes, I use the mic. Wonderful to be here. I'm absolutely honored to be here, and thank you, David, for that introduction. I must say that I know now why you are a great storyteller, because I think, if I'm not mistaken, quite a lot of that stuff which David shared so masterfully here, he heard from me only on the way here in the car. So his, I must say, his memory and his ability to retain all that is very impressive. Delighted to be here. Thank you very much. Let me begin with the basic principle that we say that the signs of the Creator are all around us in creation. We ourselves are signs of the Creator. Everyone we meet is a sign of the Creator. And that's how we see the whole thing about God in Islam. I want to recite for you two passages from the Quran. The first is the very first verse that was revealed when the angel Gabriel appeared to the Prophet Muhammad, peace be upon him, and that was the first verse, and in Arabic it goes, Iqra bismi rabbika alladhi khalaq. It says, read in the name of your Lord who created everything. Now it's interesting to think about this and say, and then we have the response of the Prophet. He said, I can't read. He was unlettered. He said, I cannot read. And then Gabriel said, read in the name of your Lord who created everything the second time. And the same response, I can't read. And he said the third time, and same response. And then the rest of the revelation continued. The thing I always thought to myself was, what was there to read? Because it was not as if Gabriel brought a book and said, here is this book, read it. He just says, read. He wasn't showing him a piece of paper, not a book, nothing. Read. Read what? And the answer is, read the signs of your Creator. Read the signs of the Creator in the universe. So that is we say there are two books of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, of God Almighty, the glorious and magnificent. One is the open book, which is the entire universe. All that we know and all that we continue to discover as we know more and more. And the other one is the traditional book, which is the Quran. And as we know, of course, the Quran is according to us, the Muslims, the last testament, series of revelations, which originally actually began with what is called the Suhuf Ibrahim, the books of Abraham, and then we have, of course, the Torah, which came to the Prophet Moses, and then we have the Injil, which came to the Prophet Jesus, and then we have, in between that, we have the Psalms of David, and then the last of them is the Quran, which came to the Prophet Muhammad, peace and blessings be upon all of them. In the Quran also, even more specifically, focusing and talking about the creation, talking about nature, is this ayah where Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala said, Inna fi khalqi samawati wal ardi wa ikhtilafi al-layli wan nahari la ayatin li ulil albab. Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala said, indeed, in the creation of the heavens and the earth and the alternation of the day and the night, there are signs for people of intelligence. So this is to encourage us to look at creation, to research in it, to discover new things, to look at relationships, how they are formed, and so on and so forth, and truly appreciate nature and our place in it. And I think this is one of the, I absolutely love it. I spent my whole life practically doing it. My earliest memories are when my mother, I probably was maybe 2 years old or something like that. My parents lived my father was a physician and a surgeon. So we lived in by today's standard, what would have been a little village. And there was a government hospital. My father was the resident doctor of that hospital. So there was no electricity, no running water. There was a well from which water would be drawn if you wanted to use water. And in the night we had kerosene lanterns in the house. That's the illumination we got. So I remember mother taking me by the hand and to the veranda, which is the equivalent of a porch, and we sat on the two steps there on top, and it was a full moon night. And I remember my mother pointing to the moon and saying, "That is the moon. We do not worship the moon. We do not worship the sun. We worship the one who created the moon and the sun." And that is my introduction to Islam. It's not, it was not, gospel. It was not revelation as in the formal revelation. It was my mother talking to me about nature. So let me talk about this stuff. Before I go here, so throughout my life, I love animals. And at one point in time, I had 8 dogs, 2 cats. I don't know how many poultry, chickens and ducks and stuff. And so I have been always kind of been surrounded by all kinds of pets and so on. I used to, at one point in time when I was in college, I used to train dogs for a living. And I've trained gun dogs, I've trained tracking dogs. So I know all that about. And I used to spend my summer and winter vacations literally in the bush. There was a friend of my father's who had a farm, for want of a better word, I think it was maybe 300 acres of land, which was cultivated by tenant farmers. And he had a house which was literally 2 rooms and 2 verandas. Again, no electricity, no running water, nothing, on the bank of a river. And I spent my entire winter and summer vacations with him in this place.
In India?
In India. And I would wake up in the morning, have breakfast, and I would go off into the forest, and I would come back in the night. And this Uncle Rama, his name was Venkatrama Reddy, he taught me literally bush lore. He taught me tracking. He taught me what is dangerous, what is not dangerous. He taught me how to take care of myself in the forest. He would always insist that I carry a weapon with me because the Indian forests have very dangerous things. You have tigers and lions, and not lions. Well, there are lions in one part of India, but not where I'm talking about. But we definitely have tigers, we have leopards, and lots of other stuff. So he didn't want me getting eaten up. He insisted I always carry a weapon, but I hardly ever. I never liked to shoot things. So I did hunt once in a while, but hardly ever. But the weapon was more for, at least as far as I'm concerned, for Uncle Rama's psychological support. I'm going to show you a set of pictures. This is from Sri Lanka, from the Yala National Park in Sri Lanka. Those of you who are interested in a holiday in one place which is very economical and where you can see the mountains, wildlife, beaches, and some history all in one place, that is Sri Lanka. So absolutely beautiful place. We were in Yala, and we were driving very slowly in a jeep, and I saw to my right some movement in a bush. So I asked the driver to stop. He stopped. There was a friend of mine who was with me, and he calls. He knows how to imitate the call of a leopard mother, female leopard, when she calls cubs. So he called, and this one came out. He's a lot bigger than a cub. He's a massive male leopard. He had just killed You can see a little bit of red on his lip. That's the blood of the buffalo he had just killed, and he was kind of starting to eat when we turned up. So he came out to see who was there. It's very interesting. I say the leopard is the apex predator in Sri Lanka because any other country, there are leopards in India. The highest leopard population, literally per square inch, is in India, and of all places in the big city of Mumbai or Bombay. You'll be surprised. I mean, leopards are among the most, or if not the most, adaptive creatures in the world. You could literally have a leopard living under your porch and you wouldn't know it. And very interestingly, their favorite meat is dogs. But if that leopard is living in your house, believe me, your dog is the safest dog in the world. You won't touch it. Because, because they are so intelligent. You'll be amazed how intelligent these things are. So there he was. And so there's a couple of pictures there. He got so comfortable that he decided, very cat behavior, as you can see, rolling and so on. And he does more than that. Very, very unusual, very interesting. Let me take you from Sri Lanka to India, to Ranthambore. This is in Rajasthan. These are two half-grown tiger cubs. One is a male, one is a female. The interesting thing with tigers is that in India, the tiger conservation program has been an absolute runaway success, with the result, and a combination of two things. And then I think maybe the last 10 years or so, there has been a very rigid ban on cow slaughter. So what happens in the agrarian economies is that when a cow, the two things. One is bull calves are raised for beef. So they are raised for beef and then they are sold off. But cows, they are raised for milk. And but once a cow finishes her final lactations and it's old and is not going to yield any milk anymore, farmers would sell that cow to knackers and to butchers. But with the ban on cow slaughter, that sale stopped. So now you've got a farmer who's got a cow and he can't afford to feed it because, whether it gives milk or not, it's going to eat. So what does he do? He just lets it loose. So you have a lot of these cows just wandering in the forest, and that is like a boon to the tigers and leopards. So they don't have to, for them to hunt a cow is like taking that cookie from that table. They don't need to do anything. Whereas if they are hunting their regular prey, which is the big stags, the sambars and so on, it takes a lot of work. And the success rate, believe it or not, for tigers is 1 in 7. It's not a very great success rate. But with cows, it's 7 out of 7. So with the result that what's been happening is that tigresses, female tigers have increased their litter size. Usually they would have maybe 2 cubs, 3 cubs, and when they were raising, out of 3, one would almost invariably die because the mother simply couldn't. Tigers tiger moms are single parents. The males do nothing. The males not only do they do nothing, the males are actually a danger because if the male sees the cubs, it'll kill it. It'll kill those cubs, including his own. So the women, the female the tigresses keep them secluded, hidden. Tiger cubs are on everybody's menu because all the predators, they know that if this grows up, then you can't touch it because this is the apex predator, so kill it before it goes up. So leopards, jackals, wolves, hyenas, everything, they see a tiger cub, they'll kill it. So the tiger mothers have a very hard time. So now if she has to go hunting, she can't leave the cubs because if she leaves the cubs, she's not sure if they will be there or not. But with this proliferation of cattle, she doesn't have to go very far to hunt. And secondly, so therefore she's there, and so she has 3 cubs, all 3 mature. Now they're having even 4 cubs and 5 cubs. So you're almost seeing, like somebody sent me a picture the other day of Ranthambore with 5 tigers, full grown. So these cubs, not only are they surviving, but they're also like millennial kids, they stick to them. Mom provides the food, so why do I need to do any work? So you've got a whole bunch of them. It's like a pride of tigers. Now these are half grown. Another interesting thing, now why are they in this road? Because another thing which the tigresses have learned is that their cubs are safest if they are being gawked at by 2 million tourists. So now for you might say, well, what kind of absolute nonsense is this? There are jeeps and jeeps of people and everyone is acting, they're screaming and they're taking pictures. But for the tigers, for the tigresses, that's great news because nothing else will come there. So they literally bring their cubs and they stick them by the side of the road and say, you take a look at that, I'm going hunting. You take care of my kids. So these things they have become so used to people, it's not funny. The other side of it also is that when you are looking at an apex predator and you're saying they're used to people, that's a very big danger sign. It's the fear of mankind which keeps mankind safe. When they lose that fear, then you are potential prey, and pretty easy prey at that, right? And now we are starting to see instances where forest rangers and people like that are getting killed. I have slept in dry riverbeds through the night in forests which were teeming with tigers and leopards, and I'm standing here giving you this talk, so obviously nothing happened to me. But that's because in the old days, if the tiger would see you, there's no question of if. The tiger would see you and the tiger would go away. The times are now changing where the tiger sees you, the tiger will come to investigate whether you're good to eat or not. That's another male. It's also not fully grown, but almost fully grown. But they get pretty big, as you can see. Now, this is what is usually on the menu, which is the axis or the spotted deer. And the fawns are the sweetest creatures on earth. I mean, there's nothing which is more pretty than a spotted deer fawn. So this is a spotted deer mom with her baby. Now that is the largest bovine in the world. It's called the gaur, G-A-U-R. People say bison. It's not a bison. The only real bison is the American bison. But anything with horns, they call them bison. But anyway, that would be 6 feet at the shoulder, and it would weigh 2 tons. Now the interesting thing is that I have seen one of these clear a 6 or 7 foot high barbed wire fence without touching anything from a standing position. He comes to the barbed wire fence, he hops over like that, 2 tons of body weight. You can imagine the power in those legs, right? That's why I say it blows my mind. I say, Subhanallah, look at this. I mean, these are the creatures that God created for us to see. That picture is from South India, from one of the national parks there. This one.
His eyes look kind of funny.
I beg pardon?
His eyes look.
They look kind of funny. Yeah. I think it's probably the light or something. It looks like he's staring at you. He probably is staring.
Are they ever domesticated?
They are never domesticated, but again, thanks to population pressures and so on, they have become you will find some of these wandering through streets. And as long as you leave them alone, they do nothing. They just walk around. Not exactly very safe. I mean, you don't want to. That thing is too big. I mean, the problem with some of these things is that they don't mean you any harm, but even if it kind of affectionately nudges you, You get to meet God. This is from Sri Lanka. That's a wild peacock, and look at this. Look at the fan of that tail. The interesting thing, and something which really I have no answer to, is where they perch. In the night, they roost in trees, and the peacocks, especially the males, they seem to find the highest, the most exposed branch of the tree that you can imagine, right up on top, completely exposed. Through thunderstorms, I've seen, like rain pounding down like you won't believe. I'm thinking about what on earth is this bird doing? Why is this bird on top of that thing? It can be somewhere a little bit more sheltered. No, it has to be sitting on. Which sometimes is problematic because that big tail looks very pretty, but that big tail is not nice to have if you are trying to make a quick getaway. That is the peacock. Now, this is from one of the national parks in Sri Lanka called Vilpatu. Villu is the Tamil word for lake, and Vilpatu is dotted with lots of lakes. It's very swampy kind of soil, so trees grow like this. They have these aerial roots, and they connect to each other, so they literally kind of holding hands to stay together. It's almost like that, they're holding up each other, and they look in that. They look like that in the. Now this one and the next few pictures, that's a grey hornbill, and what he has in his beak is a berry of some kind. Their nesting pattern, all hornbills do the same thing. The grey hornbills, the great Malabar hornbill, and so on. When the female is ready to lay eggs, the male finds a nice tree hollow. The female goes inside, and the male and the female together, using clay from wherever they can find the clay, and their own feces, they make a mixture and they seal up that hole with the female inside. It becomes like rock solid. They just leave a little hole through which she can, put her beak out. The male then feeds her for the entire duration of her incubation period, and continues to feed her while the chicks are hatching. Are fledging, and then when the chicks are ready to come out, then between the two of them they knock the thing open and they come out. And that male is a very hard-working male. I think I sent David a set of articles as well, did I? Yeah. If you would like to share with them, most welcome. Please read them. I've written a lot of stuff about the natural history of all these. So there was this male. Now, interestingly, what they do, when they go to gather food, they pick whatever they are picking and they store it in their crop. The crop is as you know, the crop is a little pouch, in the just below the gullet before it goes off into the belly, so it doesn't go into the belly. They store all kinds of stuff. This particular male, I sat in front of that nest for 6 hours, and I think I took over 2,000 pictures. And he came, and he would keep coming and going, and he had two chicks from the previous brood, which again millennials. So they would hound the father to cough up what he brought instead of giving it to the mother. Sometimes he did, sometimes he didn't. So it was quite a sight to see him trying to escape his own his own chicks. Now they put all kinds of stuff inside. This one regurgitated red berries, blackberries, and a lizard. Yeah, I mean a lizard. I've seen pictures of a big Malabar hornbill, which is a hornbeak, regurgitating little chicks from another bird nest. Right? Yeah, I know. Nature is not always very kind. So, now interestingly, he regurgitates them, and for the life of me, I don't know, I don't have the answer to that. I always ask myself, do they regurgitate it in the order that they put it? that they swallowed, or the opposite, which is, the last one in, first one out, like about our luggage when we travel, you check in your baggage, and I'm always never sure, should I check in the last or the first, because I think no matter what I do, mine comes out the last. So there he is regurgitating those things. See how he's got a long beak, so he regurgitates it, he moves it along in the beak, brings it to the tip, and then he gives it to his mate who is in the nest. So as I said, my signs of the provider, these are from here. These are actually from my garden. And one of my greatest inspirations is to see these little ones, birds and these squirrels, rats with tails. I mean, they're the most intelligent things in the world. And trying to keep them out of feeders is, so I take a lot of pictures in that, and it's an amazing thing to me how we have sometimes on a bad winter storm, you got maybe a foot of snow or something, sometimes more, for days, and these birds have nothing to eat. Now, of course, I make sure I go out there and fill the feeders, but my point is, I'm doing it now, but these birds have been there from, God knows, centuries, thousands of years, and the Creator feeds them. So here's the squirrel. This is an oak tree planter, because that's what they do. They collect acorns and they bury them all over the place, and then they dig them up in the winter. But of course, he can't remember where he planted them, so he forgets them, and those grow into oak trees. I mean, these are oak tree planters. That is in my view, one of the most beautiful sights in the world is the red cardinal, northern cardinal on ice, on snow. The first time I saw it, I was absolutely blown away. Everything is white, and there's this one blood red thing sitting there. So, oh wow, fantastic. So I've got a pair, this is the male, as you know, of course. I've got a pair in my garden. He serenades us every morning from a tree outside our window, and that's the wife, Mrs. Cardinal. It's a more subtle kind of picture. They are picking up seeds which the other birds drop. They also go to the feeder, but they like to pick up from the ground more than that. This is a dark-eyed junco. Whoever gives them these names, I'm convinced that ornithologists don't really love birds, because how would you call something you love dark-eyed junco? There he is contemplating life. That is a blood peach tree that I planted there. So this is in winter, so of course there's no picture there.
So you have a camera with one of those great big lenses.
Yes. Yeah, a telephone lens.
There's a fellow who walks his dog here in Old Deerfield who has one that I see almost every day.
Ah, there you go, yeah. I mean, for birds you need that. Without that, there's no way you can get close to a bird. It won't let you go anywhere close to it. So you need the long lenses. You need the long lenses for birds, and you need the long lenses for big game, because one won't let you get close, and the other one you don't want to get close. So, and then there was a wren, and as I say, it's not the bird in the fight; it's the fight in the bird. So this Carolina wren decided to come to our place, and then decided to take over the nest. That's the nesting box of mine, in which there is a pair of sparrows. Now the sparrows are bigger than she is. This is a female one, bigger than she is, and there are two of them. They're very aggressive. But you should have seen the way she fought those sparrows. And then she would sit on this, and she would, what I like to call, sing her heart out, but I'm sure she was cursing them. I mean, I think this was, I don't think that song was all about beauty and kindness. It was giving the sparrow the piece of her mind. And the chance she got, she would pick up these twigs and try to make her own nest in the sparrow's nest. It's quite amazing how this bird, I mean, you can see clearly that twig is not getting into that nest. I mean, there's no way that twig is getting into the nest unless you are a wren, because he knows how to position his body this way, that way, and push it in. And then, of course, time for contemplation. So he's sitting and thinking now, how can I get these sparrows out of my life? And for that, a nice scratch is always good. So then what I did was I strung up a nest. Now this is an artificial nest. This is actually a coconut shell, which is covered with coconut straw, and it has a hole in it. So I hung it up there, and I think that, she liked that. So there she is with her nest. I call these my other creatures, great and small. These are pictures from the Okavango Delta in Botswana, in Africa. The interesting thing is the Okavango River, which is a massive river. And in this time, when it's in flood, it has huge estuarine crocodiles, it has hippos, it has all kinds of wildlife, African fishing eagles, kingfishers galore, you have African jacanas, you've got the works. And I'll show you some of the pictures. And you can't go anywhere except in a boat. I mean, and we went in a boat, and one of my articles is about that as well. That river completely dries in the summer to dust. The water just goes down. And then again in the monsoon, the rain falls in the hills and the river is back up again, and it's an annual cycle. It's absolutely incredible to see that. And if you see all these lilies, everything else dies. Everything dies, but the bulbs remain, and then they regenerate. It's a very, very, very beautiful sight. Yeah, exactly. Yeah, the African elephant. One of the ways in which you distinguish between an African elephant and an Asian elephant or an Indian elephant is the ear. The ear of the African elephant looks like the map of Africa. And the ear of the Indian elephant looks like the map of India. So that's a big male going about his business. That's an African fishing eagle, and 4 different kinds of kingfishers. It's an amazing variety of kingfishers. It's mind-blowing. It's absolutely fabulous. All this is from Botswana, from the Okavango Delta. The top 2 pictures are the African jacana. See the foot of that bird. It's a very extended toes, and it runs on the lily pads. The weight is, of course, there's not much weight to begin with, but even if there was, it's so distributed on the lily pads that it doesn't sink. You can see the bird standing on the lily pad there on the picture on the left. The lily pad doesn't even show a depression. It's the weight is distributed so beautifully that it's completely distributed. Now, in this right corner here is a plover. She's sitting on her nest. She's eggs in there. And this picture I took literally from, like 2 feet away, because she literally wouldn't move. Our driver said, see what she does, I'm going to try and, I said, don't disturb them, but he took the jeep almost until he almost ran her over. He wasn't going to do that, but, wouldn't move, will not move. It's there on this ground. Now, very interestingly, there are a lot of these ground nesting birds in these parks, in the wild. The parks also have monitor lizards, which their food is bird eggs. They have different kinds of snakes which love bird eggs and little bird chicks. You've got practically every other thing which eats chicks and bird eggs. Yet these birds, they live, they survive, they thrive. So it's not a question of how much adversity you face in life. It's knowing how to deal with that adversity. And they have no defenses, 0 defenses. These birds, they can't fight anybody. And this one is at least that big. There are little ones which are the size of sparrows, but they survive. I must ask you all to, if you would like to stand for a moment. Thank you. This is to stand to express our sorrow at something which survived for 55 million years through ice ages, earthquakes, meteor strikes, forest fires, was witness to every single thing that happened to the human species, but it could not survive the human species. The last of the white rhinos died on the 17th of March 2008. And now there are only 2 females in the wild, and obviously that's the end of the species.
Where were they? Where are they?
This one was in Sudan, which died, and the other 2 are in South Africa. Yeah, they're all dead. That's something we need to think about and say, what are we doing with regard to the creatures which share the earth with us?
Is that because we chased them and killed them?
Oh, they kill them because they usually kill them for the horn. Yeah, it's believed to have aphrodisiacal properties, which is absolute nonsense because the horn is a compacted hair, but the horn is not bone; it's compacted hair. It's amazing how when you have an economy, when you have a model of life which is based purely on money, how destructive it is. What they started doing to prevent rhinos and black rhinos and white rhinos, and white rhinos have nothing to do with being white. They are not white, they are all black. It's white is because the Afrikaans word for wide was W-Y-D, wide. And that refers to if you see the nose, it's a wide nose. The African black rhino has a pointed nose, or upper lip really, not nose, upper lip. So when the white settlers first came to Africa, they heard this word white and they thought it was white. So they called them white rhinos. So that's how the thing stuck. What they started doing initially was they would saw off the horns. So you have the rhinos without a horn, but the horn has a obvious purpose. It helps the rhino in different ways, including defending itself. It can't do that, but they used to saw off the horns. They would tranquilize them, saw the horn off and let it go. So people say, well, poachers, well, you know what, this rhino has no horn. But what happened was that these poachers, they used very highly sophisticated tracking equipment to pinpoint the rhino in the wild, and they helicopter down there and they shoot it. What they started doing was, they would still shoot the rhino without the horn because it's a waste of their money and time. So I don't want to go in there and find a rhino without the horn, so kill it anyway. So then the only thing which is left is a rhino with a horn. Can you imagine how evil this thing is just because that's the only thing which counts? Can I make money out of it? Doesn't matter how I make the money, doesn't matter what I do, as long as I make money. So happily exploring our world, and that's the end of this presentation. Thank you very much.